Imagine a country, once devastated by war and poverty, transforming itself into a global superpower within a single lifetime. This is the story of modern China. In 1949, Mao Zedong declared the People's Republic, a nation then isolated, agrarian, and impoverished. Fast forward to 2025, China's skyscrapers dominate skylines, its high-speed trains span continents, and its technology rivals the world's best. This transformation is the most significant economic and geopolitical story of the last century. It was driven by bold, sometimes risky decisions, shifting from rigid communism to a unique state-led capitalism. Hundreds of millions moved from rural farms to urban factories, fueling unprecedented growth. Massive infrastructure projects and a relentless drive for modernization reshaped the nation. Yet China's rise is filled with contradictions. Rapid poverty reduction but tight political control, global trade but protection of domestic champions. Now in 2025, China faces new challenges: mounting debt, a shrinking population, and global pushback. The old growth model, cheap labor, exports, and investment, is faltering. The next chapter is unwritten. Can China pivot to innovation and domestic consumption, or will it be undone by the pressures of its own success? The answers will shape the world for decades to come. When Mao Zedong took power in 1949, his mission was to forge a strong, unified China, free from foreign domination. He imposed strict central planning, nationalized industries, and collectivized agriculture, focusing on heavy industry. The government dictated production, resources, and prices. Individuals served the collective. The Great Leap Forward, aiming for rapid industrialization, led to catastrophic famine and economic disaster. Despite the suffering, Mao's era unified the nation, expanded basic literacy, and established a disciplined society. Living standards remained low, consumer goods were scarce, and rationing was the norm. Collective farms were inefficient, and food shortages persisted. China was isolated, with a powerful state but a struggling population. Yet the era sowed seeds for change, a literate workforce, and a basic industrial base. Most importantly, the failures of Maoism created a hunger for a new path. Leaders like Deng Xiaoping, shaped by these hardships, recognized the need for a different economic formula. The stage was set for a dramatic transformation. China was ready for reform. After Mao's death, Deng Xiaoping emerged as China's new leader, bringing a pragmatic vision. He famously declared, "It doesn't matter if a cat is black or white, as long as it catches mice," signaling a shift to practical policies. In 1978, Deng launched reform and opening up, starting with the countryside. Collective farms were dismantled. Families could lease land and sell surplus crops, sparking a surge in productivity and rural incomes. Township and village enterprises absorbed surplus labor, igniting grassroots industrialization. Deng also opened China to the world, creating special economic zones like Shenzhen, once a fishing village, now a booming metropolis. These zones attracted foreign investment and technology, becoming laboratories for capitalism. Deng's approach was cautious: experiment locally, expand what worked. This gradualism unleashed market forces while maintaining state control. The reforms brought in capital, ideas, and global connections. China's economic engine roared to life, setting the stage for explosive growth. The world would soon feel the impact. China was on the move. China's real economic boom began in the 1990s, accelerating after joining the World Trade Organization in 2001. WTO membership opened global markets, unleashing a flood of foreign investment. China became the world's factory, assembling everything from toys to iPhones. Hundreds of millions migrated from villages to cities, fueling the largest urbanization in history. A new urban middle class emerged, enjoying rising incomes and modern comforts. The government built world-class infrastructure, ports, highways, airports to support this growth. State policies kept exports competitive, driving an economic miracle. For nearly 3 decades, China's economy grew at nearly 10% per year. Poverty plummeted, life expectancy rose, and society transformed. But the model had costs: pollution, inequality, and over-reliance on exports. The government knew change was needed for the next phase. The era of hypergrowth was ending. A new strategy was required. By the 2010s, China's leaders saw the limits of being the world's low-cost factory. Rising wages and environmental damage demanded a new approach. The goal shifted to created in China, an innovation-driven economy. Ambitious policies like Made in China 2025 targeted leadership in robotics, AI, electric vehicles, and aerospace. China aimed to design and build its own high-tech products, not just assemble foreign ones. The Belt and Road Initiative, launched in 2013, expanded China's influence by funding infrastructure across Asia, Africa, and Europe. This was both economic outreach and a geopolitical strategy to build a China-centric trade network. Meanwhile, China modernized its military, developing advanced capabilities in air, sea, cyber, and space. The military buildup aimed to protect global interests and assert territorial claims. China became more assertive internationally, challenging the US-led order. It sought to be a rule-maker, not just a rule-taker. The world now faced a confident, ambitious superpower. China's global reach was undeniable. As China reached new heights, formidable challenges emerged. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed vulnerabilities. Strict lockdowns hurt the economy and consumer confidence. The property sector, once a growth engine, became a crisis of debt and unfinished projects. The one-child policy led to a shrinking, aging population, straining the workforce and public finances. For the first time, China's population is declining, threatening future growth. Internationally, China faces backlash, trade wars, tech restrictions, and efforts by the West to reduce reliance on Chinese supply chains. These pressures threaten access to technology and markets. The old growth model is under strain from within and without. China must adapt to sustain its rise. The stakes are higher than ever. The world is watching. The next moves will be critical. Can China overcome these headwinds? To secure its future, China must rebalance its economy. The old model, investment and exports, can't deliver sustainable growth. Boosting domestic consumption is now essential. This means raising household incomes and strengthening the social safety net. Local government debt, built up from years of infrastructure spending, threatens financial stability. Beijing must reform local finances and manage debt without triggering crisis. At the same time, China is racing for technological self-reliance, investing heavily in semiconductors, AI, and biotech. Success would cement China's global tech leadership. Failure risks stagnation. Green industries offer a new growth engine. China leads in solar, wind, and electric vehicles. The green transition could create jobs and exports, but also sparks trade friction with the West. The path forward is complex and uncertain. China faces both opportunity and risk. The world's eyes are on Beijing's next steps. China's aggressive push into green technology is reshaping global industries. Despite being the top carbon emitter, China leads in renewables, solar, wind, and electric vehicles. This is strategic industrial policy, not just environmentalism. Massive investment has made Chinese companies global giants in batteries and EVs. China controls much of the clean energy supply chain, from minerals to finished products. Green tech is now a major growth engine, creating jobs and export revenue. It also boosts energy security, reducing reliance on imported oil and gas. But China's dominance alarms the US and Europe, who fear overdependence. Western nations are responding with their own subsidies and tariffs. A new front in global competition is emerging, a green tech trade war. The stakes are high for the future of industry and climate. China's green revolution is both an opportunity and a challenge. The world is entering a new era of rivalry. China's journey from 1949 to 2025 is one of history's most dramatic transformations. In a single lifetime, it rose from poverty to superpower status. Over 800 million lifted from extreme poverty, futuristic cities and global companies emerged. This rise was powered by a determined state, entrepreneurial energy, and strategic globalization. China blended capitalism with authoritarian control, creating a unique model. But now, the very engines of its ascent are creating headwinds: debt, demographics, and global backlash. The era of easy growth is over. Uncertainty looms. The next chapter depends on whether China can rebalance toward innovation and consumption, resolve its debt crisis, and overcome demographic challenges. Its leaders are betting on high-tech, self-reliant development. The world watches with a mix of awe and apprehension. Choices made in Beijing will shape not just China, but the global order. The stakes could not be higher. The future is being written now.